What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Mastercrafted. We are finally getting around to it. We are talking all about CSM, their brand new detachments. We know you know everything there is to know about, the detachments. We're going to give them a quick overview, and then we're talking about Pyra Cup, baby. We're going to talk about what those lists look like and what people are bringing, and kind of see how it's shaping up already and what players are doing with it. Today, we've got Trae and Johnny with us. They're going to join us, give us some of their CSM special insight and let us know what they think. And then we just have Phil here as well. He's just a shoe in, and he'll throw some opinions out as well. But welcome, guys. Thanks for coming. How you doing today, Phil?
I'm ready to talk about some CSM. I've heard these detachments are pretty good. There's a few players around the world that are very happy to see these two detachments out there. So it's good to see that CSM has some more usable units and models. But I was sold a lie. I was told the year of 2025 was the year of chaos. But apparently that is not the case, because we have gotten more great detachments and units and models and rules in the year of 2026 in this first couple months than I think we got all throughout the previous years. So I like it. I like seeing more usable detachments. But Trae, you've been on before, so all our viewers are aware of you. But Johnny, this is your first time on, so why don't you give us a little bit of background, your experience in CSM, and just kind of your background in 40k?
Hey man, like everyone else, I picked up this game when I was a kid, fell in love with it, and about 4 years after getting in at age 9, I decided that I wanted to do cooler things like drink beers and talk to girls. And then I got some more money in my late 20s and hopped back into 40k. So happy to be back in the scene. Been about 3 years and fell in love with CSM. It was the first choice. My brother hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, I just got some Space Marines. I'm going to paint up." And I said, "F you, Chaos Space Marines." And I've been a one army man since. Had some pretty good successes, tournaments here on the East Coast. But running just CSM, not super meta. And like you just said, really excited to get all this new CSM stuff. I think Trae can attest that we've been pretty stale for about the past few months. This is definitely an exciting time to be a CSM fan.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I got a rekindling of my love with Fellhammer for a while there, but actually getting something new that's good is fantastic.
Absolutely. Nightmare Hunt. We're talking about Nightmare Hunt, people.
If you didn't know.
Yeah, that is pretty spicy. I know, Trae, you tried it out. It didn't work out quite as well, but these new ones you've tried out a little bit, been messing with it. And I know Huron's Marauders has kind of been what you have been gravitating towards. So why don't you go ahead,
yes.
give everybody a quick overview of what that is like and what that entails.
So Huron's Marauders, just quick rundown, is in your command phase, you can choose one of two abilities. This only applies to infantry, either +1 to hit or fall back, shoot, and charge. Another stipulation is that if your unit is visible to Huron Blackheart, you get both abilities. So it doesn't matter which one you picked, as long as Huron can see you, you can use both. Something weird about this is how you have to order your abilities at this point. Because, for example, if Huron sees you, you can fall back and charge. If you fall back and then Huron charges and gets out of line of sight, you can no longer charge. So you have to fall back and shoot or fall back and charge while Huron's still looking at you. So ordering is key here. A couple of the enhancements. One is just basically a model gives his unit both abilities. The second is you can make a chart. If you're in a transport, the transport made a move, you can get out and charge. It's just assault ramp for this model's unit. Another one, it doesn't exist. It's battle shock tests whenever you're set up or come in from deep strike. And then the last one is interesting. It will actually come up in one of the Pyra lists. It's a Heretic Astartes model gains infiltrate. So this is not restricted. So you can put this on a Disco Lord, a Demon Prince, and just get a giant monster in the center of the board quickly. But a big thing that you need to pay attention to is it's just the model. So you cannot infiltrate a whole unit that doesn't normally infiltrate. A couple of the stratagems, though. So the first one, Hardened Killers. Don't worry. You're never going to use this one. It's got 5 great stratagems. This one isn't one of them. Basically, you can buff the shooting of damned units, which that is Traitor Guardsmen. So you can make your Guardsmen hit on 2s. It's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
However, this is where it starts getting spicy. It's only uphill from here. The first stratagem is just 1 CP. Anything that's not a monster or vehicle can advance, shoot, and charge. When this happens is super important. It's just your movement phase, so you can use it before you get vected, and you also get to see your advance before you use it, which is fantastic. The next, Seize the Prize, 1 CP. You can auto 6 advance, excluding monsters and vehicles. That is fantastic on stuff that already has advance and charge, or if you just want to dump 2 CP, give something advance and charge, and auto 6. It's great. I love this on Bile and 10 Chosen. You just immediately send them out of a Rhino 15 inches and tell your opponent to deal with it. Next is 1 CP in your fight phase. You get +1 attacks on the charge. So if your unit charged, +1 attacks. Generically good, helps buff up the strength of units. It's just a great damage buff. Next is this is, I'd say, the most important stratagem here is 1 CP in your opponent's shooting phase. Anything in your army can blood surge if they shot you. There's no restrictions except aircraft. Aircraft can't do it. I would hope not. So monsters and vehicles. So I can have a blood surging rhino. Is that good? And not really, but there's niche scenarios where it works. But basically what this says is you need to play your whole army outside of 6 of me, or else if you shoot me, I just can randomly blood surge and tag you. And that's any unit. And then finally, 1 CP, end of your opponent's fight phase, 1 Heretic Astartes unit, excluding monsters and vehicles from your army, that is within 6 inches of 1 or more battlefield edges and not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. A key thing here is you just have to be within 6, not wholly within 6, and you remove your unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. So 1 CP, uppy downy. Fantastic. You can turn 1 deep strike, terminators, or anything with the deep strike keyword. It's fantastic. But that's it for Huron's Marauders. Over to Johnny.
All right. Heading over to the detachment that everyone's been talking about. Art of War cast and other podcasts have cast some doom and gloom, saying this is immediately going to rise to the top, be one of the best detachments in the game, Renegade warbands. What this detachment does, it removes your dark packs, removes the soul of CSM, and makes you a Marine. Gives you a nice assault on all of your weapons, and replaces your army rule with some Space Marines oath. They call it a vendetta, way better word. And we'll get into it, but there's the opportunity to have double oath, which if you played Ultramarines with Gilman recently, you know how strong that is. And the last thing is the Twisted Doctrine. This is what I'll consider as the attachment rule. You can fall back, shoot, charge, advance, shoot, and charge. You just have to take a battle shock. Definitely some weird interactions there with the battle shock. Important to note, when you fail the battle shock and you select to fall back, or you select to fall back then fail, you do not have to take desperate, so it makes it a little bit less risky. But it's great. Anyone who's played Emperor's Children knows how great it is to have this unlimited flexibility in your army. The first enhancement that we can jump into is the double oath. This is the most important and most expensive enhancement in 40k. It's 60 points, and it's a 60 points well spent. After a couple testing games, I don't think you leave home without this one. The rest of the enhancements are fine. One, the give it to a Heretic Astartes model, and the unit that model's in will ignore cover. I can only really see this be used on Havocs, which ever since Noise Marines came out of the woodworks, Havocs have kind of taken a back seat. The next enhancement, this is for Terminator models only. Since the Terminator's datasheet ability is when you Dark Pact, you can reroll hits. This allows you to get that ability back, gives reroll hits to the Terminator unit because they're no longer allowed to Dark Pact. And the last enhancement, which is, if you have 15 or so points, you probably take, add 1 to the advance and charge roll. Good on a Lord, good on anyone who's leading a unit, especially as you try to charge or advance and charge up the field. Suite of stratagems are pretty sweet. 3 offensive strats. 1, you get your Dark Packs back. How easy is that? You don't even have to take the leadership test. Just sustained or lethal, shooting or fighting any unit in your army, except, as long as they are Heretic Astartes. The next one, and this is, again, an homage to Ultramarines, +1 to wound. Only your infantry mounted can do this, so you can't really add that to your vehicles. But this is a great way to buff up that damage, especially against that O target, or only on that O target, and make sure you're able to kill that unit. And the last offensive strat, corrupting munitions here on the right, extra AP +1. This really comes in handy. And doing some of the math on which of these strats, if I have 1 CP, which one should I use? Surprisingly, the +1 AP comes up a lot, especially if you're shooting to lower toughness, higher save models like Sanguinary Guard. 3 other strats here. 1, you have a 4-up fight on death. I consider this the worst version of the fight on death. It's only 1 CP, but it's not guaranteed. Still a really good tool to have in your arsenal as a defensive measure. You have sticky objectives. It's a little awkward because you have to be on the objective during your command phase, and then you sticky it. So it's not as reactive as World Eaters when they stick you on death or something like that, but definitely a strong strat. And the last strat is D6 move when you are shot. This is a great defensive strat, especially if you're able to roll those 4, 5, 6s. Great way to get back into a Rhino, because this is definitely going to be a detachment where we want to take Rhinos and spades. Load it up with your noise and your Legionnaires and go have some fun. The one thing that you can see clearly missing here is any sort of defensive strat, and the detachment really does feel that. it's a little less tanky than your veterans of the Long War, Renegade Raiders that have AOC, or your Creation of the Bile where you have a dedicated -1 to hit strat, and you kind of feel that in this detachment. It's kicking it back to you, Phil.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny, Trae, that's a great roundup. I'm glad we were able to kind of get through that. So for the people that are seeing these detachments for the first time, kind of have a good idea of what they're going to go into, because what we're going to go into now, and I think this is going to be really beneficial, is like CSM experts talking about the things, the combinations that they're seeing. And thankfully, we have some of the best CSM players in the world playing on their national teams at Pyra Cup this upcoming weekend. So we're going to break down a couple of the choices that some of these individuals made in their lists. We're going to give you a couple of options because we're going to talk about combinations most importantly. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can run these lists, because when we talk about an army that is just given oath and rerolls the hit and there's no stipulations on shooting or fight phase, it does open up a lot of options that CSM players didn't necessarily have. A lot of things were locked behind certain units, or like obviously the damned keyword was a huge thing that got rid of. Now it's just Heretic Astartes, right? We can use a lot more units. And then I think just overall, the fact that you can fall back, shoot and charge, advance shoot and charge, and you're taking a battle shock check is really nice. It combines a couple of army rules, and I think means that you have two good detachments. That if somebody says these detachments are good, they are out of their freaking mind. They both have value in competitive play, and if they are telling you not, I think Trae and Johnny and Mike and all our CSM experts would 100% disagree with you. I think there is a lot of value if you build correctly for both of these detachments. Is that fair, guys?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking at the CSM landscape, we've been kind of stuck with 3 to 4 good detachments. Obviously, Raiders, Bile, Veterans of the Long War have kind of reigned supreme. While we have 10 worst detachments. Folks have seen success with Fellhammer. Folks have seen success with PBZ. I think these slot right at the top. I don't see myself going back to, I'm a Raiders fan, going back to Raiders anytime soon. There's so much to play around with here, and I think they're both solidly in high B, A tier, that kind of range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't shock me.
Yeah, definitely some strong detachments, great additions to you guys' range. And yeah, going to be seeing a ton of them. As we look at Pyra, though, we do see 5 countries are bringing them. 3 are bringing Hurons, marauders, and 2 are bringing the Renegade warband. So which list are we going to dive into first?
Well, it only makes sense. We are going to start with the favored son of 40k currently. He is an absolute menace with CSM. We're going to talk with Liam VSL's Huron's Marauders list.
My
and we're going to
lord.
go through that.
My
What's
6'8" lord.
I make sure before every tournament I do my litany of prayer to Liam VSL for good luck and good dice.
It makes sense. He is a fantastic K player just in general, and CSM speaks to him very well. Like I said, he's a close second, third compared to you two and Mike P. So we'll give him his kudos and his grace. I guess he's won a few tournaments. I'll run through his list quickly, and then we can talk about some of the decisions that he made for his Marauders list. So he's running Cypher, Fabius Bile, obviously Huron, and the Masters. He's got a cultist mob for his home. 1, 2, 3 units of Legionnaires, 3 rhinos, big brick of Chaos Terminators, a big brick of Chosen, 3 bricks of Noise Marines, a unit of Raiders, and that is 2,000 points right on the nose of Huron Marauders for Liam BSL, and a lot of the new units. So Trae, I'll start with you. The first thing that stands out to me is obviously we have Cypher in this list. I still don't think we leave home without him. He's too good of a lone op. But in this Huron's list, he has chosen to take Huron and the mom contingent. Thoughts on the character selections there? Are we happy with those?
Oh, yeah, I love this. I am taking these exact characters in my list to a GT coming up as well. I don't think we touched on the new data sheets for Huron and Masters, but quickly, Huron can actually attach to Terminators, and that's what he's here to do in this list. It's finally a character that gives some good buffs to Terminators, which is fantastic. They can D3+3 reactive move, so combined with the Blood Surge move in this detachment makes them Imitation Vitrix Guard. I call them Shit Tricks Guard. They're nowhere near as broken, but still fantastic. Very hard to pin down. Huron has 6 attacks at 833, and he has a D6+2 flamer. Terminators already have a fantastic Overwatch. And then Masters of the Maelstrom, they give you a redeploy They also do mortals, and they can res a model or give you a CP with plenty of great data sheets in there, a bunch of damage 2 attacks and damage 1 as well. And then finally, Bile, we'll see later in the list, but Liam actually does something weird. Usually you see Bile with 10 chosen, but he's actually taking him with 5, which is very interesting. But I think Bile is the best character in CSM behind Cypher, so I think you don't leave home without him if you're playing an infantry spam list.
Yeah, and you
Sounds
know,
about right.
Huron's really approaching that auto take level. He just does so much. He loves every single unit he can attach to. You know, the reactive move as well as the extra OC. But he loves reroll wounds on Legionnaires. He loves the advance and charge, fallback charge of Chosen, and the reroll hits from Terminator. So you really can't go wrong just throwing him in there.
And on top of the fact that he's just a sick model. They
Yeah.
did a great job in model design. Like, I like having cool models on the table, and Huron is definitely one of them. But yes, his rules are absolutely obnoxious.
I think Liam probably got the number of Legionnaires right. One thing that you worry about with Legionnaires without any buffs, they might swing and miss, but here with the +1 to hit, those power fists are going to hit. They will have sustained, and they will full wound reroll an objective. So it really takes them from, hey, I really hope this unit doesn't miss, so maybe I'll replace them with bikes or something else, to, hey, Legionnaires are really good here. They're consistent. They will kill what's on the objective, and they will trade up.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I don't think, you're not looking to have even more trading pieces. You really can't when you're taking 360 points worth of Terminators plus Huron attached, and you've got Fabius with 5. You're really spending a lot to have kind of your core bricks that are really going to be the focus of your army. 3 units of Legionnaires are going to have a great time trading out in that early game.
And one of those units I do know that does attach to the Masters of Maelstrom, and that unit really likes the buffs, the durability. You can't just chip into them. Oh, hey, I'm going to kill your chaff piece. We're going to regenerate. We're going to generate CP. We're going to have a ton of OC. We're going to advance and charge, straight 6. They have a lot of play.
And it is a nightmare of wound allocation because it's going to be 5 models at 2 wounds, 2 at 3 wounds, and 3 at 4 wounds. So no matter what, your damage is going to be inefficient against me into this unit. So it's just going to take a lot more to actually kill this weird trash piece than it normally would.
Completely fair. Obviously, Johnny, I believe you said it, like, Noise Marines are the staple. Unfortunately, Havocs have fallen to the wayside. Liam VSL, and I think you both would agree, Noise Marines are just that good. But you're running the 3 triple Rhinos, and then you're also running the triple bricks of Noise Marines. No surprises there. I don't know if you are they close to an auto include for you and the majority of lists where you're running at least 2 squads of Noise Marines?
Not for me, actually. However, my lists do look extremely weird. I think Noise Marines are great. I think in Huron's Marauders, they're not as auto-include as they are in Renegade Warband. You can definitely go down a lot of different paths, but when you're going Rhino spam, I think Noise Marines definitely have to follow. It's just super efficient to be able to have this unit. You basically stick the Rhino barely poking out on a shooting lane, shoot something shoots back, kills your Rhino, but they can't get to the Noise Marines because you just get out behind terrain at that point. And then afterwards, they're +1 to hit, so very efficient. But personally, I wouldn't say that they're exactly auto-include. They're just very good.
Yeah, I think in this list, they really rounded the list. This is very MSU heavy with this big brick in the middle of Terminators. And they synergize well, giving a little bit of shooting threat, getting behind Legionnaire screens and such, and just kind of having Rhinos running around with dark packs, or if they get out, they hit on 2s while they're trying to clean up all that MSU stuff. So I think in this build, they make a lot of sense to me. Auto include, I think we're going to look at another build where they don't include any, that's leaning more into that speed. So here I think it's a little bit more finesse play from Liam.
All right, well, let's talk about the main point sink for this list. It's 360 points. It is the fattest Terminator brick ever. Because this is probably the first time I've seen a big brick of Terminators in a while in a list, because the majority of the time people tend to stray away from them because Terminators can be a little scary in terms of invested, because we are talking about a 2-up, 4-up. We don't necessarily have access to a field no pain. Neither of these detachments provide anything in terms of extra durability that would make me feel really comfortable about spending up that many points. But why do you think 360 points for a big brick of Terminators with the reactive from Huron, with all the buffs that this detachment gives. Why is this included? Why did Liam VSL make this choice?
Now, this is my favorite part about Huron's Marauder, is this exact Terminator brick. I have been a huge lover of Terminators over the past month or two. I brought Fellhammer to WCW recently. That featured 10 Terminators and a Chaos Lord, and Huron just adds so much to this Terminator squad. This squad, because Terminators always reroll hits as long as you Dark Pact, it's averaging about 5 to 6 dev wounds on an Overwatch into infantry with combi weapons. It's also followed up by 2 heavy flamers and then Huron's Gauntlet Flamer. Also, I'd say this unit is the best unit in the CSM Codex to benefit from the +1 attacks, because it's basically 9 damage 2+ attacks and you're gaining 9 of those and only 2 accursed weapons, whereas with Chosen it's just a bunch of damage 1. Also, the combo I had said earlier, this unit can reactive move. It's OC2 Terminators, so they can't really get out OC'd by trash as much. And you just have the dynamic play of people can't tie it down. This Terminator squad is uppy downy, which is fantastic as long as you're within 6 inches of a board edge. There's also a play where you can start it on the board, deep strike at turn 1, because if you're bottom of turn, pick it up, bring it down. And then also with both reactive moves, get in close, dare somebody to shoot you so you can blood surge and kill something on their turn, or just reactive move away, make their charge that much harder. Because if they decide to stay 7 inches out, they don't want to get blood surge, I'm like, okay, D3 +3 back. I love this unit, and I think it makes this detachment shine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Terminators that move 11, Huron moves 6, so move 12 inches, you come out of deep strike, you're hitting your target. There is no, wiggle room here. You're going to hit your target, and that consistency is everything. I think that's what this attachment really shines in, is that auto 6 advance, and the data sheets that you can bring to support that.
Yeah, that's definitely a nice combo. I want to touch on the D3 +3 reactive. Holy shit, is that problematic to deal with, especially when you're trying to play around, a very tanky unit. That some players are going to have to try to get close. Some mixed combat, shooting armies if you're positioning correctly. It will make it so hard to actively get shots into them and charge them if you need to do damage through both phases. Like, it is going to be horrendous to deal with. And then on top of that, being able to blood surge on top of a 4-inch minimum reactive is an extremely aggressive option to have in your list.
So something I would like to add about the reactive move, that is, it's a small tech, but it will come up very rarely, but when it does, it's very powerful. The wording on the reactive move is not phase locked. It's just whenever an opponent ends a normal move within 9 inches of you. Therefore, you can reactive move to opponents' reactive moves. So you cannot make more than 1 normal move per phase. Okay. However, if you advance or fall back and do something, you haven't made a normal move. So if I advance and charge at you, you react to move away from me, I'm going to react to move at you again. I did this in a practice game against my Drukari friend where I auto-advanced 6 inches. I got in his face. He was like, okay, I reactive backwards D6. And I was like, okay, you rolled a 3. I go minimum 4 closer to you. It comes up very rarely, but it is fantastic.
Yeah, it seems very, very good. The last units that's included is the new Red Corsairs Raiders. This is a 110-point unit, but once again, more MSU. Is there anything that players need to know seeing this new Corsairs Raiders unit that they should probably be on the lookout for, Trae? Is there any thoughts there?
This unit is just tanky. It's 3 wound Space Marine bodies. It hits like a wet noodle. It's going to kill guardsmen, strength 5, AP 1, damage 1, and a power fist. The biggest thing that is good about this unit is the redeploy from the Masters of the Maelstrom. So you just have a redeploy infiltrating unit. You just basically take this. You're like, okay, I screen out the whole center so you can't put your infiltrators to block my alpha strike. And then I pick them back up, put them where I actually want them. It's a very good unit. I personally don't like it, but I could 100% be wrong because Liam VSL of all people is bringing it.
Infiltrate's good. SM has been locked out of it. We didn't have any real infiltrate units, any real scout units for this whole edition. And this inclusion just gives us more dynamicism in the play. This tournament is on WTC. There are going to be stronger staging points. Obviously Liam knows what he's doing here, but I definitely see a lot of value in trying to get this into the right targets. And something you can advance and charge them turn 1, something falls back, they shoot you, you blood surge, and you're really just locking your opponent in if you can find those cheeky plays.
Yeah, I think that's one of those awkward things too, where most people really like their infiltrators to be as cheap as possible, and I think them being 3 wounds is probably kind of one of the breakpoints where they're now getting overcosted a little bit more than people would like to spend for their infiltrating unit. Though that play definitely still does exist. Johnny, I agree with you, but I think I'm on Trae's side, and every other player that's going to Pyra is on that side of that. No more Corsairs. This is the only list we're going to see in it.
I've run a similar list a couple times, and I drop them and take a Disco Lord instead with infiltrate. Don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's better, but it's certainly doable. So they're the first to drop.
Yeah, absolutely fair. I do like infiltrate, and I think it's interesting. A 3-wound infiltrating model, a unit, means that your opponent does have to commit more to pick them up than you would some of these, like, let's say ratlings, or just, I don't know, like just your basic Jaegers or whatever the case is, like these very, very non-durable units. We're talking about, Space Marines at the end of the day, 3-wound Space Marines, that if they have the benefits of cover and are out there, there's a strong possibility that if you don't commit into them, they could very much be alive, which could cause some issues the longer and longer that they're around, especially when you have access to a redeploy. There is value there. We'll switch gears a little bit. So we've ran through a Huron list. Let's go over a warband list. This is for Team Germany. Team Germany did incredibly well at the last World Team Championship. So they tied the USA last year. So obviously they have been improving significantly. And as Trae and Johnny have both said, both of these detachments have value. So we'll just move on to this one. I'll run through the list quickly. We have 2 Chaos Lords, one with Empiric Symbiote, Dark Apostle, and Vastor. A cultist mob, 2 squads of legionnaires, those are both 5-mans, 2 squads or 2 units of rhinos, 1 unit of chaos bikers, 2 predator destructors, which are the las cannon autocannon version, 3 units of obliterators, and I can't wait to hear Trae's thoughts on this because he runs obliterators pretty regularly, but I know they are a little bit tumultuous with the CFSM community in terms of how they see them. 2 big bricks of Noise Marines, so that is, I believe, 2,000 points right on the nose. Again, 1995, 5 points short. So obviously it's not nearly as good, but we'll start with you, Trae. I'm just right off the bat. We'll just start with the characters. I know you love Vastor. He is your baby daddy.
Yeah.
You put him in every one of your lists now. He's great.
He pays child support.
Yeah. But then what are your thoughts? The double Chaos Lord, obviously, the Dark Apostle, obviously. Where do you think this combination lands in?
Before I completely give my thoughts on this list, I would just like to preface, I hate this detachment. I'm a huge believer that veterans is better. I am one of the few people who is just like, I think this detachment is very good. Don't get me wrong. It is like, on paper, it's one of the best detachments in the game. But in the context of CSM, I take veterans. However, this has some very interesting tech in here. So the Dark Apostle has the weaponized hatred, so that's double O's. So the fun thing about this guy is you attach him to your cultist on your home field. That becomes 13 models. So now, like a demolition vehicle in guard on your home objective when you have all infantry, here's a 13 model unit on my home objective. If you draw Cull the Horde, you better keep it. And that unit is in my deployment zone the whole game. I think that is also, the Dark Apostle has an ability to where at the start of any phase, any unit that is battle shocked within 12 inches of him gets unbattle shocked. So it has synergy in this detachment where you're rolling all those battle shocks the whole entire time. And if you fail a key vital battle shock, you just advance up the Dark Apostle, point at it, and just be like, unbattle shock. This is once per game, but as long as this activates once a game on a very vital battle shock, I think you're getting insane value.
All right, Johnny, you are you've taken over this attachment. What are your thoughts? First, these characters right off the bat. Are we happy with this character selection?
Yeah, I think you have to look at this. There's so many shades of different armies in this detachment. You can run this, you do your best to run it like do your best to run it like it has a lot of shades of vets, like Trae just said, raiders with the advance and charge, advance and shoot, and Emperor's Children. I think this is very this is like, hey, what if I take Emperor's Children and I add obliterators in it, and Vastor's my winged demon prince. This detachment's looking to hit you hard. There's very little durability, but it will table the right matchup. Characters, 2 Chaos Lords and with Legionnaire packages, they just are good, just like the Lord Exultant and Infractors. The Dark Apostle, exactly what Trae said. I did try that. It is cheeky. obviously you're going to draw Call the Horde at some point. And you're like, haha, you can't do it. So that's good fun. And Vashtor, he's also my baby. You know, the guy just kills tanks. So the character selection, I think, is fine.
Okay. All right. Well, to move on, obviously the cultist mob for your home, which we already talked about, to attach the Dark Apostle, the 2 units of Legionnaires. I don't think we need to get into any more in terms of how they're effective, whether it be Renegade Warband or Huron, and the Double Rhino. It seems to be the trend in these lists. The Chaos Bikers, they have been good all edition. They provide a lot of value, and they still benefit from this attachment. So I don't necessarily think we need to hit on them too much, but these Predator Destructors, 2 of them, is this the detachment where we could run more Predators and be successful, Trae? Do you think there's any value in running a Tread-like style army in this detachment?
I think that's one of the best ways to go about this detachment, because it's the freedom that it gives vehicles is fantastic with advance, fall back, and charge. Also, if you're running a bunch of shooting platforms, usually they don't mind if they get battle shock because they're so far out of the fight. I think Predator Destructors are great in every CSM detachment, like 2 of them, fantastic. I don't really think you take more than 2, because they just slowly get a little more inefficient after that. They're only AP1, AP2 into infantry, so whenever you're shooting those autocannons into anything that's a 2-up save that doesn't have the infantry keyword, they're saving on 2s. I've sadly done 0 damage to Riptides with O's and 2 Predator Destructors many times. But I think, and later on Team USA, we do have a whole spam list that we will talk about. So Team USA thinks that that's the way to go.
Okay. And then we'll just hit on the last bit of it. Triple
So hit in here
Obliterators. Is this
real
saucy
quick,
tech now?
No,
What's
real
up?
quick, Phil. I think this is actually a distant third detachment that you want to spam Predator Destructors. I think Raiders with the extra AP on objectives, you really burn through infantry, and in vets with sustained and rerolls, they really shine. I'm not actually sold on them in this detachment. I think if I were sold, I think you see a lot more Marine players running these same hulls, because it's the same exact thing. There might be a reason why Marine, traditional SM players are not running Predator Destructors in droves, whereas CSM, they're pretty much a staple in a lot of our better detachments.
Yeah, no, absolutely fair point. But then where the majority of points are spent for this list is the Obliterators. You got 3x2, obviously, 160 points apiece. They're Lane, you've played into Obliterators enough times. You are familiar. Are you scared of 3x2 Obliterators?
I mean, I'm more scared of them now that they have Assault. I'll give you that. Now that they can actually move more than 4 inches and all of them can shoot, it's actually pretty good. Is it once per game indirect, Trae, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, once per game.
That's very good. Strength 12, AP 4, damage 4 with Melta 2 is still that profile for shooting. It can chunk through big heavy tanks. That's what they're in this list to do, is to deal with bigger targets. It's not going to be, if it's infantry, sure, those Predators will help. But these Obliterators, that's what's going to be taking care of any tank matchups that they see. And I mean, it's very good. It's consistent. You can owe something, even with the indirect, all of them, on a go turn, they'll be hitting on 4s with full hit rerolls because you have Oath in this detachment. They all have Assault because of the detachment as well. Like, I think this is one of the best places for Obliterators, because this list is meant to do damage, right? This detachment, it's not meant to be durable. It's meant to do damage. And I think Oblits are one of the better options for that. So I don't think 3x2 is a bad option at all. And yeah, I don't love seeing that, especially on WTC.
And to your point, like they're here to kill Terminators, but when they drop, I prefer for Obliterators to kill Chaff, especially with those rerolls. Double Oath, come in, we'll use their indirect right away, kill your screens, and now we're going to force your bigger things to come out, and they'll get melted.
Yeah, I personally think that's the best use for Obliterators. Everyone focuses on the Melta profile, but the indirect is literally to, let's kill some trash pieces that you can't interact with me. I'm safe. You kill like 1 to 2 trash pieces on a trading turn and just kind of bleed out your opponent a little bit. And then whenever they're forced to come at you with everything good, then the Oblits come. They line of sight, hit you with the Melta gun. And then in this detachment, just the fact that they get all of the movement tricks for free is fantastic. Also, I will say the one part where I say it's good that you don't have dark packs is the Oblits aren't killing themselves. So they're going to be full health the whole game, activating. But
I don't know about you, Trae. I've never filled dark pack, so
it's
it's a way of life.
Never punished.
Yeah, so that as like a whole, Phil, Lane, Trae, I think that list is literally here to kill you and kill you fast. We're going to eliminate your screens with the blitz, force you out, and then we're full sending it, or, we can send a lord in to do some, kill a unit on objective or something, but it needs to kill you fast because that army has no defensive, no defensive strengths.
I'm curious what the matchups will look like for that just over the span of the team's weekend. Like, obviously, some of these armies that could trade really well into it, that have the durability to sit on some of these objectives, an army like that would struggle with. But I think there's a lot of things in the meta that will just pick up. Obviously, if it goes into Catan spam or something like that, I think that list with the detachment rule and the strats could very easily punish that. We already hinted at it one time. Let's see how our brethren, Team USA, who we are rooting for, we would love to see do well at this tournament as we build up to another WTC. I know myself, Lane, Johnny, Trae, and all the guys here, we want Team USA to go win it all. We want a WTC championship. We want people to be reminded how good 40k here is in the US, and the way we start proving that now is WTC. So let's go over Team USA's CSM list. They are also running Renegade Warband, Cypher and Huron, which is interesting. We got Mom, the 5-man, a Sorcerer and Terminator armor, a Traitor Enforcer, which, if you watched our Jeopardy video, is the first time I've ever seen that unit. But we have 2 of them, so a nice little scoring tech there. A unit of Cultists, 1, 2, 3 squads of Legionnaires, which seems to be the trend, just how good they are in either detachment. A unit of Chaos Bikers, 1, 2, 3 Rhinos, double Chaos Vindicators, 3 squads of Noise Marines. So this is, like we said, in Renegade Warband. Johnny, I'll start with you. Is there anything that stood out to you? Obviously, you already said Huron is great. He doesn't need to be in his Marauders list to do well. He can do well in anything. Are we happy seeing him in a Renegade list?
No, I think he's really approaching auto take. This list is more my speed, more of what I've been toying around with. You take Huron, you put those Masters of Maelstrom, you throw in those Legionnaires, and you let them rip. Now if you're able to stage one of those 3 Rhinos somewhere well, Huron can go in early game, kill a unit. You attack something else, you fall back. I reactive. Maybe I didn't quite make it to the Rhino. You shoot me. I roll a d6. I'm back in that Rhino now. And I was able to get that off pretty consistently, where Huron goes in, kills, and we're not trading. Again, this is an army that's craving for survivability. But if you're able to take those blitz, that Huron tech piece, and you're able to trade without losing units, you get yourself a really big leg up, and you can start really pushing score, especially because it's the teams. These are teams lists. So I think Huron. I think I've run it with Huron. I've run one game without him, and I really missed him. And I think Trae and I talked briefly. I think one of the biggest strengths of CSM is our ability to field large units that are effective. Not every army gets to have a 10-man led by a character that does damage, moves fast, advances and charges, shoots pretty good. That's one of our key competitive advantages. So Huron just plays into that so well.
Agreed wholeheartedly. You'll never see me leave home without at least 2 10-mans of CSM units. Oh God.
Possessed, Terminators, Legionnaires, the Masters of Maelstrom now adding all, it's all gravy. Those are some of it's definitely something that CSM can do that others just can't. Traitor Enforcers are great. There's nothing to be said about them. You can plug and play them in any army. They're just good.
I love them in Huron's Marauders. I'm taking one this weekend because none of Huron's rules exclude Damned, whereas in this detachment, O's Moment excludes Damned. So Traitor Enforces are 8 damage 2 attacks, hitting on 2s for 55 points, and then are crazy durable for no reason for 55 points. So it's just like a funny little unit that will get way more value than it was ever entitled to get. And
sure, kill one, now kill the other. Shut up.
Yeah.
Is this the most durable 55-point unit in the game? Maybe.
They have 4 feel no pain.
Oh yeah.
3 saves at 4, at 5 up invul, 4 feel no pain. Roll some good dice, and they're just living past too much.
And toughness 6
seems very, very solid. We don't, I think, necessarily need to hit on the Legionnaires.
Yeah.
They're just good, right? We're taking them in either one of these attachments. They're so solid, whether you take them in Marauders, whether you take them in Renegade, and Bikers, obviously, as well, are one of the key staple scoring pieces that I think the majority of CSM players are so comfortable with. They can play with CSM Bikers well. And if you, as a CSM player, has never played with bikes, I think Johnny and Trae and all our CSM experts would strongly recommend breaking them out. We know they're old models, but they're still fantastic.
I think playing Huron's Marauders is the first time in a long time I've played without bikes.
Yes, same. But bikes have been in almost every single one of my lists. It's just the package of screening out my home field with 10 cultists and 3 bikes is fantastic. It's great.
The truth is we have one chaff unit. It's bikes. That's it.
Yeah, everything else needs to do damage, or else
Or-
you're gonna fall apart.
You take one cultist. That's the correct number. I think an important note here is this is WTC terrain, not GW. Legionnaires, because the staging points are strong in WTC, they'll make their charges without needing that advance in charge. I know this detachment has it, but sometimes you don't want to take the battle shock. So if you can find some points for Chosen, I'd say that probably goes a long way in terms of survivability, adding that survivability and making sure you can get your charges on GW without having to take battle shocks constantly.
No, that's perfectly fair, and a nice, interesting tech piece to show the difference between, hey, if we're running GW versus running something else. But the last piece of like interesting tech, I think, in this detachment is the double Vindicators.
Yeah, you take them.
Vindicators are a Space Marine staple. We see them all over the place, and they're obviously very solid. But on the CSM side, they're not necessarily as popular. What are your thoughts for running Vindicators in a list like this? Are we happy with this choice, Johnny? Or would we prefer to see Predators?
No, I think this is the first time where I'm saying, hey, I want Vindicators. Obviously, PVZ with the, you take your Abaddon with rerolls and crit fives and the Hellbrute, that you'll see more Vindicators there. But I think in a fast moving detachment like this, typically, we've gone towards Predators. I think Vindicators are good here for the same reasons they're good in Marines. While you'll see them in Marine lists more than Preds, they just really benefit from making up for their mistakes. You get 6 shots, you need the convert. The reroll is more effective than the sustained is in CSM, as well as their survivability. Again, this is what I found is this detachment doesn't have a lot of survivability. That 2-up save, that T11 is really important. All these other units, there's no invulns anywhere. There's no high toughness. You're just Marine boys. And if your opponent can tech into that, tech to kill it, you might just die pretty quickly.
Fair. Trae,
think
any
something
additional
too-
thoughts on that?
Yeah, is without playing CSM a lot, you're not going to realize how key lethal hits are in killing big stuff. We do not have access to a lot of high strength stuff that is really usually worth taking. I think Vindicators in this detachment is good because advance and shoot plus oaths, but this detachment is really going to want reroll wounds from legionaries or high strength weapons, because without lethal hits, you're just the wound roll, you're just hoping your strength is higher. And that's just one of the few reasons that I'm iffy on this, because so many of CSM's data sheets are balanced around being able to either swing up or swing down harder with sustained or lethal.
And
But
points
I think, yes, pointed for it as well. Rest in peace, Possessed. They got buried in this detachment. They don't get an ability.
No,
But-
Trae's absolutely right. We are a chip damage army at its heart, and the chip damage comes from those sustained or lethals, depending on what we're shooting into. To get that extra damage in, it's really effective. Without it, Vindicators kind of make up for that dedicated anti-tank role. CSM does not have a dedicated anti-tank anything. So these are a natural fit.
Yeah, I real quick, I do want to ask you guys, what is your opinion? We just looked at the triple Oblitz, and now we're looking at triple Noise Marine. Do you think do you all commit to one? I mean, they play a similar role, especially how you guys described it, right? Dealing with trash early. Is it worth it to take Noise Marines, put them in a box for an extra 75 points, and then hop out behind the ruin as Trae was describing it? Or are you guys more in the Oblitz side of things? I know Trae, I think even in other detachments you'd rather have Oblitz, but I do want to pick your brain still.
Obviously matchup dependent. If an army struggles with boxes, you're having a good time. If they need to line up something to shoot into your transport and then you have to kill it, they don't have the speed to do that. They can't get around corners. We feel pretty safe kind of dangling those rhinos out there. You blow it up. I put OC there. They also get you extra speed. So if you're going to something that just doesn't want to see a lot of rhinos, you're having a good time. Whereas the Blitz, if you have those relatively expensive chaff pieces or infantry units hiding behind wall staging, the Blitz are great at scalping those units. A big part of my philosophy in 40k, if I kill all your chaff and I still have chaff, I win the game. Because you're going to eventually send out your bigger pieces, then I get to hit you first with my big pieces. And normally that's a pretty good recipe for a W.
I would say that this detachment is so versatile that there's no right answer whenever it comes to it. I think Vindicators I value more than Oblitz here. I think the Oblitz...
I'm sorry, Noise Marines in Rhinos versus Oblitz. Playing
God.
that kind of early trade game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Noise Marines are just Noise Marines are the reason you run this detachment. I think they're way too good. This is just Emperor's Children, but better, essentially. Because the big thing is the cult God units, Noise Marines, Plague Marines, Berserkers, Rubrics, they never had dark packs. So they just gain access to oaths and all this detachment's rules without losing anything. Because everything else has to lose dark packs. They're like, oh, we didn't have it to begin with. We just get more. Noise Marines also love every single one of those damage buffs. The +1 to wound is great. The +1 AP, because they already ignore cover. And the sustained are lethal. So you can basically pump a Noise Marine to kill God with 3 CP, because you can use all 3 of those stratagems at the same time. Oh God, that Rogel Dorn, here's 145 points and 3 CP. I probably won't kill you, but it was really cool that I did 12 damage.
Yeah, they're the big winners here. I think objectively, obviously, Blitz, the synergy spells itself, Vindicators as well. The truth is, these are all damage pieces. In list building, I can tell that these lists are really just going to try to pump as much damage, get into the right targets, and try, table you as fast as they can. One more thing to note, because I don't think there's another one of these, another list from Renegade Warband. This detachment is highly variable. If your shooting doesn't go well, if you lose a piece, you roll bad on your Huron, or someone spikes against you, or he's precisioned out, if your Blitz aren't able to connect on that drop turn, everything can fall to shit. Or if you fail battle shocks ad nauseum on a go turn, and you can't take them off objectives just by being there, with your 2 SC Legionnaires. That variability, I think, limits the cap for this detachment. The units that are good being all damage dealers, as well as that battle shock mechanic, while fallback shoot charge, advanced shoot charge is amazing, and it really does feel amazing when it's on the table. You fail one bad roll, advanced battle shock roll, you can't reroll the charge now, and you need to hit it, where you play normal 40k and you're able to do that, your whole game plan can just kind of go out of whack and you need to pivot on the fly. Where, we're going to switch back to Huron's Marauders. This army takes away variability with the +1 to hit and auto 6 advance, which I think, we'll get that, it's a long story short, Huron's Marauders, in my opinion, is the better detachment because of that reason. It's more consistent.
I would wholeheartedly agree.
It's just more consistent. As flashy as these rules are, that variability can just screw you out of a W on any given night.
Obviously, Johnny and Trae love talking about CSM. They could talk about CSM until they're blue in the face, but I want to go over one more list, because this list is different than everything we've seen, and we're going to end with this one, because this is Team France's CSM list. This is Huron. This is some spice, okay? Trae, Johnny, I'm very curious, because are we going to go back to this world? Are we going to see this again? But we got Cypher, 2x5 Dark Communes, Fabius Bile and Huron, and Mom, a cultist unit, 2 big fat bricks of accursed cultists, a 1 Chaos Rhino, 2 10 Mans of Chosen, 1 Nemesis Claw, which I really like. I think, that's a tool that is very unique to CSM, and it's great to have. And yeah, I think there's a lot of value there. And then another 10 man of Possessed. Trae, this is right up your alley. 3 10 mans, plus the 2 16 mans of his cursed cultists, plus Mom, plus the Dark Communes. Like, this is right up your alley. Am I going to see this on the table at the next year?
So it is. However, I would just like to say, me and Johnny had a whole 30-minute conversation trying to figure out what was going on. So that enhancement right there, eager for bloodshed. So we don't know if this guy made a horrific mistake or just had 30 points that he had nowhere to go. So that enhancement is infiltrate enhancement. Remember when I said it only designates the model? So only in a Dark Commune, only 1 model has the character keyword. So effectively, this is 30 points doing nothing, because even if you don't equip the Dark Commune to the Accursed Cultist, it still can't infiltrate, because there's 4 other models in that character unit that won't gain the infiltrate keyword. So me and Johnny sat there for like 20 minutes.
Can you scoot it up 2 inches? Can you scoot her up 2 inches like she infiltrates, and the rest of the units behind the line?
Oh my god! My god!
Is that legal? I don't know.
Did we just crack it? Like, wait, that's like an extra 3 inches turn 1. Oh my god. That's like a 3-inch scout. Hold on.
Is that legal? I don't even know.
Oh my god, that actually might be illegal. I hate you for saying that, because.
So I texted Trae. I was like, hey, I sent him this list. I was like, hey, I think this is pretty good. Trae's like, this sucks. This enhancement makes no sense. What are we doing here? And I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go ahead.
I'm not a big believer in Accursed Cultists in this detachment, because everything they do is kind of redundant to what this detachment does for the most part. And then everything that this detachment does differently, I just think Chaos Cults does better for the Dark Communes. But I think Dark Communes auto, like, AC/DC auto advancing 6 is fantastic. I think this is just a pressure list. So, I don't hate to see them here, but their ability already gives them +1 to hit. The fallback shoot and charge, though, is good on them for when they live.
And it's also nice that you don't have to spend that advance and charge CP because your 4 of your 5 big bricks just advance and charge.
Yes.
The 2 chosen and the Curse Cultists and our commune packages. You can spend that on your possess and just yeet 15 inches. I believe that one of his chosen is just this giant mob with 10 chosen, the Master Maelstrom, and Huron. With advantage, you just throw, strat reserve them or keep them on the board and just throw them up 12 inches automatically. There's a lot of speed here. And saving CP for your blood surge. Oh, right. And they also blood surge also. So now you have 3 blood surging units. So it's like Trae said, it's redundant. That could be part of the plan, is to save that CP and do the best things this detachment does. Advancing and charging, blood surging, +1 to hit everywhere, extra attacks. I'm curious to see how he does. Team France is great at pairings. They won the past 2 WTCs. I don't know if they won Pyra last year, but they've just been on a roll. So, this is sanctioned by their players. I'm really excited to see how this Unga Bunga kind of new take on Creations of Bile with AC/DC does. That's one unit that Creations of Bile was locked out of taking. So, and taking full advantage of CSM having big, chunky melee units. One of our key features.
I think they're going to have a lot of flexibility, and talking about all the blood surge potential and stuff, with this many big bricks. If we're going into something that doesn't have a lot of just, we point click and we delete a unit at a time of that volume, right? If you're just going into an army that does a lot of chip damage itself, it's going to be so hard to effectively deal with that list. If you're just MSU that has to, have 3 activations to really deal with things.
Yeah, overall, and Lane and I have talked about this at length, just in terms of the teams aspect. We could talk about singles. There could be a world where you play something like this in singles, but in a teams aspect for a list like this, there's a lot of value in a horde comp. And there's different types of horde comps. This is definitely one of them because, Lane is absolutely right. There are some armies that just can't deal with this amount of possessed, chosen, and the AC/DC bricks in your face. And they will just struggle because it has every tool that the majority of horde comps don't, like the reactives and the blood surge and the auto 6-inch advance and fallback shoot and charge and advanced shoot and charge. It's got everything in there. And Huron still slaps. That unit, he still hits pretty freaking hard. He is flat 3 damage. He is not a joke. So
and the
overall,
OC aura.
Yeah.
Underrated. You put a couple guys on the point, you take any point away with your 3 little Curse Cultist idiots. Now there's OC6 and Huron's behind a wall staging for next turn. I see a lot of synergy here. I've not played this, but I'm really excited.
Well, it makes sense at Pyra Cup with the new detachments. Everyone's pulling out all the stops. I know Trae, Johnny, myself, and Lane will be watching the results of this very closely because, as we all know, these players are incredible. They're representing their country. We want to make sure that we're supporting them. And also, they give us a lot of thoughts as to why they're choosing certain units. And that's why we wanted to go over these Pyra Cup lists, because there's a lot of value in showing what these top players are doing. That doesn't mean you need to copy and paste their lists. There is a lot of value of taking pieces out of their lists that work for you and saying, hey, I don't like CSM bikers. I don't want to use them. Well, we just saw a bunch of lists that didn't necessarily use them. Or, hey, a blitzer, my favorite unit. Well, hey, we just found a list that runs 3 of them. Maybe use that in combination with some of the other things and the other tech that we're showing you. So obviously, both of these detachments have a lot of play and they open up a lot of units, which is something, as someone who plays into CSM a lot, I like seeing.
And on the way, we got 2 more units. It's not over yet, Phil. Mutilators in the front.
Yeah, I think in the past 3 months, you guys have gotten almost as many detachments and definitely way more models than all of World Eaters did in their codex drop. So, can't complain.
Wait, World Eaters got a codex? I thought they just updated the index.
Basically, yeah.
They have that demon detachment that's kind of cute.
Yeah, for a week, and the GW was like, let's get rid of it. It's like, okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please do if you haven't already, and join the Discord where you can find these guys, talk about with them all about CSM. And if you got any questions, we'd love to see you in there. Thank you all for watching, and do not forget that victory isn't given, it is forged. It's forged right here on Mastercrafted, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks.